Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Red Alert lab. This is the video number 11. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have created a file server and we have created folders on the file server and share it to different departments in our network or to different users in our network. Okay, so we need these shared folders to be accessed by the user through network map drive. So let's consider that after creating our folders and share them on the file server, we need the user to access this shared folders. What we do, we need to give him the path. So we need to give him the name of the server, the name of the folder, and the user need to type it in his Windows Explorer so he can access it. So to ease the process, we will map this shared folder automatically to different departments. So if, for example, if I am a member of the accounting team, when the user logged in with his Active Directory username, he will see his Active Directory home folder mapped and shared and appear automatically for him, and his department shared folder will appear for him automatically as a network map drive or as a partition. So this will be done using especially the department shared folders to appear as network map drive. This will be done using a group policy. Okay, so we have discussed how this is done, and then we need to filter the files on the shared folders on the file server. So we don't need users to put audio and video files. So this can be done from the file server resource manager. We can block audio and video on the department shared folders and on the Active Directory home folders. We have discussed what is Active Directory home folder. It is a folder for every user in the Active Directory, and this is accessed only by him, and he the only one who can see it, and he's the only one who can control it. So we have 4,483 users. Every user will have his personal folder on the file server. Okay, so we have blocked audio and video files to be added to the department shared folders and the Active Directory home folders. And then we need to have, or we need to limit the amount of data to be put on the shared folders on the file server, either the department folders or the Active Directory home folders. So we need to set a quota. A quota is to limit what range of data or what amount of data could be put on the folders. So we have a quota set to 2 GB on the department shared folders and 5 GB for the Active Directory home folders. And then there was a problem concerning one of my videos before. I have a group policy to set a default account profile picture. Okay, so this was done using a group policy and it was not working. I have discussed this in a video and it was not working, and I have to do this manually. So I found a solution for the problem to this group policy to work. So please refer to my video discussing the default account profile picture group policy and how we solve the problem for this group policy to work. So all of this we have discussed in the previous video. This video we will configure a WSUS. This is an abbreviation for Windows Server Update Service. This is a role to be added to a server that will, this role, its function is to communicate with the Microsoft website and get all of the updates for all of the operating systems in your network, okay, and download them, and then it will be the one responsible for distributing this updates to your PCs and workstations and servers in your domain. So let's consider that for example, we have RACC02. This is our file server. We will add WSUS role to this server, and then the WSUS will communicate with your workstations and servers and see how much or see what is the different types of operating system you have in your network, and then it will communicate with the Microsoft website and download all of the updates concerning this operating system, and then it will distribute it to these workstations and servers. Okay, so how the workstations will know that they need to communicate with the WSUS server to get their updates instead of going by themselves. So the normal process for any workstation to get its update, or any server, it communicates directly with the Microsoft website and gets the update. Okay, so to tell the workstation or the server not to communicate with the Microsoft website directly and go to the WSUS server, this should be done using a group policy. Okay, so we will configure a group policy to tell the workstations and the servers in the domain to get their updates from the WSUS, and this group policy will not only be responsible for telling the servers and workstations to get their update from WSUS, but it will dictate on them how they can download and install the updates. So for example, in the workstations, we will tell them that you go communicate with WSUS, the WSUS will give you the updates and will install the updates and will restart your workstation automatically, so the user doesn't have any role in this process. Okay, all of this will be done automatically. Okay, as for the servers, we have a different thing. We tell the servers to get their updates from the WSUS, and then me as an administrator will install the updates manually and I will restart the server by myself. Why this process is different from the workstation? Because the server is a very critical role, or very critical have a very critical situation in the network. This server should be up and running 24/7. This server could be a domain controller, this server could be an application server, so this server should be working 24/7, and any downtime, okay, should be reported to the users and should be known, because when you install updates on the server, this could imply that you need to make a restart to the server, so you need to shut down the server or make the server unavailable for a certain amount of time. So the group policy will only download the updates from the WSUS to the server, and then you as an administrator will go and install the updates by yourself, and then you will restart the server manually, and you will plan this restart. So you tell the users, please do not work on the specific servers at that time because I will restart the server. So all of this we will do it in this video. We will install the WSUS, we will configure different group policies concerning the WSUS, and at the end we have been working in all of the previous videos to install a domain controller, then an additional domain controller, then a DHCP, then a WSUS, then make a file server, then make folders and share them on the file server, then make mapping of these shared folders. All of this we need to see it on a real workstation. We have our PAL workstations that we use it to access the servers and configure them remotely, but we need to have a normal workstation and join it to the domain and see if the DHCP will give it an IP address, if the WSUS will communicate with it and give its updates, and if we'll get out to the internet, and if we can see different shared folders appear as network map drives, and see the different group policies applied to it, and the Active Directory login script. So in general, we need to have a workstation to test all what we have been doing in the previous videos, from scripts and group policies. We'll see it in action. Okay, so let's see how this will be done. So we need to go now and open it, and let's go there. So you'll open the VM Workstation Pro, and then we have our two domain controllers, RACC01 or RACC02. We will power on the primary domain controller, and then pause the video. Now it's up and running. Then we go to the additional domain controller and our file server, and actually it will also be a WSUS. So this server, it is a DHCP, a file server, and it will be in this video a WSUS. So now we have opened the two servers, and this is the PAL or Privileged Access Workstation that we use it to configure these two servers remotely. Okay, so now we will log into our PAL, and we will configure WSUS on this server remotely using the Server Manager console. So now we will access it using my domain admin account, and we'll see the different configuration options for the WSUS. So there is different options that we can configure in the WSUS, and there is some standard or some best practice setting to be done to this WSUS. So now we will open the Server Manager, So now as I said before, we have a lot of tools that we can use to configure these two servers remotely. One of them is the server manager, the other it is the Windows Admin Center, the third is our remote server access tools using our custom console. So now we will go and access the group that we have configured earlier, that called core servers, that contains our two servers. They are grouped in one group called core server. So I think just I need to pause this real quickly, so let's go there. Okay, sorry, so we'll go a little bit back, guys. So here now we can go and open the server manager. Okay, now we will go to the core servers. Okay, and then we will right click RACC02 and then tell him to add roles and features. This could be done from the server manager and from the Windows Admin Center, but for this server manager is easy, or its interface is a little bit easier to manage. Now we will configure RACC02. So we have two servers. Now we will add the Windows Server Update Services, and then add, and then next, and then next, then next. So here here is a couple of options here. Here the WSUS, okay, have a lot of things to record. Okay, so for example, the WSUS, it's not only a tool to distribute updates to your workstations in the domain, but it is also a reporting tool. So you can from it run reports to get how much computers are updated, how much operating systems are in your domain, what computers fail to update. So all of this is stored in a database. So the WSUS records all of this in something called Windows Internal Database. Okay, so the WSUS will be installed as a service or as a program, and then it will record all of its data in a database. So these are the two options. We will use Windows Internal Database, and we will install the program or WSUS service. Okay, you can work or have the WSUS services work with a SQL database. So what is the difference between the Windows Internal Database and the SQL database? The Windows Internal Database, it's smaller in size, so you have a maximum limit, I think, for 1 terabyte, or I don't know, maybe more. So its limit, it's only for 1 terabyte. Okay, if you need to store more data than 1 terabyte, so you need to work with a SQL. Okay, so in most cases, in small and medium organizations, you can work with the Windows Internal Database. But if you are working in a large corporation, you will need to install SQL Server, okay, or SQL database, and make the WSUS work with it or store its data on it. Okay, there is a lot of benefits from SQL. SQL is larger in space, larger in size, it have a larger limit. Okay, and there is a lot of features actually when working with SQL. But anyway, the default or the normal process is to work with the Windows Internal Database. Okay, so we will configure both and then tell him next, and then here it will ask you about a folder that you will store the updates in it. So the WSUS will go to the Windows or Microsoft website and download the updates. So these updates should be stored in a folder. So I will put it in a folder called D, or in partition D, WSUS. So this is the location where we will store the updates. Here it says that your partition should be formatted as NTFS, and it at least should have 6 GB of free space. Of course, you need to have more, okay, because you will download updates for a large time. So 6 GB will not be enough. So you need to have maybe, I think, maybe 300 GB, maybe 150 GB. So you need to have a large space. So now we will need to go and create the folder on this server remotely and tell him to store the updates in it. So now how we'll do this, we will go to the run, right click and run, and then type the name of the server, and then the name of the partition or the letter of the partition, and then $, so we can access it. And then we will make a folder, we will call it WSUS. Okay, and this will be our folder that we will store our updates in it. Okay, so now we will go and take the partition. I will not put this path actually, because this path should be local path. So when you type the path should be local. Okay, so now we'll type D, sorry guys, D and then D WSUS. So this is the location, and then tell him next. Okay, and then we will wait until the server or the updates are installed. So not installed, until the service is installed. So next, okay, and then we will check restart the destination server automatically if required. So if the process, after the finish of the process of the installation, if a restart is required, you can restart the server automatically. So now we will begin the installation, and then we will pause the video. So now it is finished, but we need to have some post installation tasks. So we need to run a couple, or the Windows need to run a couple of updates, not updates, a couple of processes should be done before we can open the WSUS console and work with the WSUS. So now configuration successfully completed. So now what we will do, we will close the server manager, and then we will go to our custom console and add the WSUS to it so we can manage it. Here you can see WSUS, it's already added to the server manager. So now we will add snap-in. Okay, and then so now we will go and add update services. This is the WSUS console, or the program or the location where we can access the WSUS and configure it. So now we tell him add and OK, and then we will tell him to connect to the server. We will specify the server, which server is your WSUS. So here we will type the name of the server, RACC02. Okay, so this is our server, and here you can connect to the WSUS server using an HTTP. This is a normal, it's acting like a website. Okay, so the WSUS, you can access it like you access a website, but this website, it is internal. Okay, so you can access the WSUS and configure it using an HTTP, a normal website or a normal process of site, or you can use a secure website which it calls HTTPS, but you need to have something like a certificate. Okay, or so you can secure the connection between your workstation and the server. Anyway, we will work with the normal HTTP. Okay, so as I said before, a WSUS, you can manage it like you access a website. So if you need to access WSUS, you will like typing a name, and this will get you to a page like a web page, and then you can manage it or you can work with it. Okay, but we will work from here anyway. So we will put it RACC02, and we'll type the full name RACC02, then the full name, it is the name of the machine, and then the name of the domain. So it is racc02.redalert.internal. Okay, and this is the port that we will communicate through it to get to the WSUS. Okay, so also this should be passed from the firewall. Anyway, we have the firewall disabled on both servers, but you need to take care. Now we will have a couple of things here. It will ask you a couple of questions for the initial setup. So first of all, if your server firewall allow clients to communicate to the server, so your firewall on the server, will it block the communication between the WSUS and the clients, which are the workstation, the servers? I have closed the firewall, so this is no, it will not block. Can this computer connect to upstream server such as Microsoft Update? So it tells you, does the server has access to the internet so it can communicate with the Microsoft website and download the updates? Of course, we have this server access the internet. We have a router and we have an internet connection, so yes, it can. Do you have user credentials for the proxy server if needed? So do you have a direct internet connection from the client to the router, or from the client to the firewall then to the router, or you have a proxy, or you have something in the middle to filter the internet, okay, or to filter your internet connection. So if you have a filter or you have a proxy server, you need to specify it, okay, and you need to give him or to give the WSUS an authorized user to bypass the proxy, okay. But here we don't have a proxy, so we will pass it. So the proxy main objective is to filter your internet activity, blocking some websites, allowing some websites, blocking some users, allowing some users. This is something like improvement program. So here what we'll see here, it will ask to synchronize from, or it tells us it will get updates from the Microsoft website, okay. You can, or you have another option to have or to get your updates from another WSUS server. So you can have more than one WSUS server, okay. You can have 3 or 4 WSUS servers. So why I need to use the other one, okay. So let's consider, for example, that you are in a location that your WSUS server doesn't have access to the internet, okay, and you have another WSUS server in another location that has internet access, and these two WSUS has a direct connection between them, okay. So you can go download the updates on the first WSUS server and then tell the second WSUS server, choose this option and tell him to get his updates from the first WSUS server. So this is a good way if you don't have internet access in your WSUS server and there is another WSUS server in your network that have access to the internet, so you can tell this WSUS server to get its update from it, okay. In certain situations, okay, some servers has been blocked access to the internet anyway, so this is the second option, but anyway we will use the first one. And then there is no proxy, okay, and then here he will start connecting. What we will do here, start connecting to save and download upstream server and proxy information. So after start connecting, he will go and search for the Microsoft websites and he will download the names and the data for these servers, so he can communicate after that directly between them, okay. So it will take a couple of seconds, maybe several minutes. Here it took about maybe 30 minutes or something, so it depends upon your connection speed. So we'll tell him start connecting and then we will pause the video. So now it's finished. Now we will go, and here we have a couple of options. If you need to download the Windows updates are in different languages. We have all of the languages here, we can see all of the different languages, but we need here to download updates in certain languages. We have 3 armies with 3 different languages. The Ally, maybe the English language, and the Russian army, which is the Russian language, and the Japanese, which is the Japanese language. So we need to download updates in English, Japanese, and Russian. So this is it. We will choose the 3 languages. So this is one of the things. So I think I can, maybe it's paused, maybe, yes, it's paused. So now we tell him next. Just we need first to choose the Japanese language and then the Japanese, then the Russian, okay. Japanese language, okay. There is 2 Japanese. I don't know what is the difference between both of them, but anyway we'll choose the first one and then we'll choose the Russian and then next. So this is our scenario. We have 3 groups, or we have 3 armies with 3 different languages. So now here we go to the products. What type of updates should you download? Updates for which products of Microsoft? By the way, the WSUS can get updates for your operating system and all Microsoft products, so it's not limited to Windows updates. It can get Office updates, Microsoft Edge updates, Windows Defender updates. Any product related to Microsoft, the WSUS can go and communicate with the Microsoft website and download these updates. So here we will choose to download updates for Windows Server 2019, Windows 10, Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Windows Defender, Office 2016. We will have Office 2016 installed, so we will choose all of the products of Microsoft. Windows Admin Center, we have the Windows Admin Center. This Microsoft or WSUS can get updates for the Windows Admin Center, so we can choose the different products we need the WSUS server to download from the Microsoft website. So here we will choose it one by one. You can scroll and see what updates you need. So we will go further down. Okay, so we will just uncheck Windows, and then we will choose the updates, or we will choose the products one by one. So now I'm just scrolling and see what updates I need. Okay, so now we will go further one by one. Okay, there is Exchange, as we can see. There is Windows Server, but this is for Visual Studio, so I think this is not the correct one. This is related to developers, so this is not related to the operating system. So these are tools to be installed on Windows Server 2019, so we don't need this. We need the operating system. So we will go further down until we reach the category called Windows System. We will go there. So we go to the W, or we reach the W letter. Here, first of all, we need to have the Office, so we have Office here 2019. So this is the Office category. We will download Office 2016. I don't have 2019. If you have Office 365 client, you can also download the updates for it. Now we can go further and scroll and see. Here we have Windows Admin Center, so we download updates for Windows Admin Center. So this is a good way to download all the updates at once. Okay, we will continue. Okay, so we will continue working. Here we have the Windows Defender, so we need to download updates for the Windows Defender, because this is the only antivirus we have, and Microsoft Edge. So these are two important products. And then we need to also download the Windows Server updates and the Windows 10 updates. So let's continue browsing. Here we download Windows 10 packages. What is the language package? We need to have the Windows for different armies to appear in their language. The Windows display language, I need, for example, the Windows to appear in Japanese language. I need the Windows to appear in Russian language. I need the Windows to appear in English language. So we need to download the language interface packages. This is very important, because we need every army to see the Windows in his own language. Okay, so now we will configure this, and then we have Windows 10 language packages, and then we need to tell him to download updates for Windows 10 version 19.03 and later. Let me remind you all that the Windows Now version, it is 21H1. Okay, so we will download updates beginning from version 19.03 until now. So this option will allow us to download updates from 19.03 until 21H1, the latest one. Okay, but the one that was tested, it's 20H2, so I recommend you all to use 20H2 until 21H1 is completely tested and verified. Okay, so now we will use version 19.03. Remember that the POW version, or Windows 10 version, it's 17.09. Okay, and we will later install 20H2, so we will use this option to download updates for the Windows. Okay, so anyway, we will continue. This is Windows 10 version and the Windows 10, so we'll download most of the updates, and then I think we will have this is it. This is all of the updates that we need. And we need, oh yes, the Windows Server 2019. We have Data Center and Azure Hot Patch. Anyway, we will have Windows Server 2019 as a whole, and then we tell him next. So this is the products. This is how is Microsoft classifying products according to the type of program. Here we have another classification of updates. You have critical updates. These are security updates, very important security updates or very important updates that fix a large bug in the system. So these are called critical updates. As for the definition updates, these are mainly the antivirus updates for the Windows Defender. Okay, so the critical updates are very important updates for this operating system. Maybe they are very important security updates or updates to fix bugs in the Windows. Okay, so this should be installed immediately as a best practice of Microsoft. And these are the definition updates for the Windows Defender updates. Security updates are updates mainly concerned with the security and should be also installed, but not as important as the critical, but they are still valid. So if you had critical updates and security updates, this should be installed immediately. But I will tell you a policy or tell you a way that you can install these updates without having or without cracking your environment, because sometimes Microsoft release updates that have bugs and have problems. So I will show you all how we can overcome this problem in a couple of seconds. I'll show you all. So we have the critical updates. This is the one that we will download. Definition updates, security updates, and then we have upgrades if you need to upgrade a certain Windows version, for example for 1709 to 1903. So these are upgrades. You can download tools, different tools of Microsoft. There is tools, something like antivirus tools or malware tools. Sometimes Microsoft release some tools, you can download them as well. Service packs, this was old one when you have Windows 7. So service packs also are some updates that fix problems in Microsoft older operating system or add new features. Okay, and there are feature packages. These are also related to upgrading versions of Microsoft from a version to another. Okay, so anyway, we will choose critical updates and definition updates, security updates, and then we'll have tools, and then we tell him next. And then we have another important option. This option is when the WSUS will go and communicate with the Microsoft website. So we need to take care, because when the WSUS go and communicate with the Microsoft website, it will download large number of updates. So it will not only download updates for the operating system for 1 year, maybe for 2 or 3 or 4 years. So it will be a lot of updates. So you need to define the time the WSUS will go to the Microsoft website and download the updates. This time should be free, or this time should be a time where your employees are at home or there is no activity on the internet. So we tell him to, first of all, you can make this check between the WSUS and the Microsoft website manually, but we don't need to do this. We need to do it automatically. So we will do it at midnight. Okay, so this is a good time where no one is sitting or no one is working, so it's a good time to check, okay, the updates. You can do this per day, so you can check the updates, for example, twice. If, for example, if you need to check it at 12 midnight or 12 noon, so you can tell him how much time you need the WSUS to check the updates, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, anyway. So tell him I need only 1 time a day at midnight. So now we will check the updates, and now we will begin. So you can tell him to begin the initial synchronization. So now you can check this option and it will go directly and communicate with the Microsoft website. But I will not do it now. I need to have a couple of things also configured before allowing the WSUS to communicate with the Microsoft website. So now we'll tell him finish, and then the first thing we need to do or to see what are the different things here. So here we have something called updates, computers, downstream servers, synchronization, reports, and options. Updates here are the updates types. Okay, we have said that we have critical updates, security updates, upgrade updates. So all of these are listed here. Okay, computers, these are the groups of computers WSUS will work with. So for example, we have workstations and we have servers. Okay, so I need the WSUS to get certain updates to certain computers. So here I will make groups. So I make a group for the workstations, a group for the servers, and then tell him please the critical updates install them on the workstations and do not, for example, install them on the servers. So this is a way, or computers are a way to group computers in WSUS, so I can control which computers to get which updates. So here the first thing we need to do, we need to create certain groups in the WSUS server. We will make one for the workstations, we will make one for the servers. So let's see how this is done, and we will make a third group. So here, for example, the first thing we need to say, there is something called unassigned computers. So this is how it works. For example, this is my workstation. It will communicate with the WSUS. So the WSUS knows there is a workstation called POW. Okay, it needs updates for the Windows 10. It will register it and put it in the unassigned computers group. Okay, so this is the first thing. All of the computers will do this, so it will register itself here. Okay, so what I will do now, I will create different groups. Okay, let me show you all how we'll do this. So we'll create a group and we will call it servers. Okay, this is one, and then we'll put all of the servers here, and then we will add a computer group. Okay, and then we will add something called test group. So let me discuss a little bit what I'm talking about here. For example, if my POW workstation communicate with the WSUS server, it will put it in the unassigned computers. So after that, I can go there and move it to computers. This is the first thing. For example, if my domain controller communicate with the WSUS, it will go to the unassigned computers. After that, I can go and put it or move it to the servers group. Okay, so this is how it works. What about the test group? We have said that Microsoft releases in the recent years, they release updates that are buggy and not working perfectly. So what we will do, we will make a group called test. This test will involve, or we will put in it from each department. We will have a computer and put it in this group. So for example, if you have the accounting department, the IT department, the HR department, so we'll take a computer from these three departments and put them in this test group. And if any updates come from the WSUS, we will test them first on this group of computers. Okay, so if they work and they are fine, I can after that release them or apply them largely on the computers group or the servers group. So here this is a test group, and this is a very effective way to test your updates before applying them on large numbers. So we'll have in this group 10 or maybe 3 or 4 PCs from different departments, and they will be our test group. We will test all of the updates on them. Okay, so we will do this later in the videos. We didn't discuss downstream. This downstream server, these are the names of the servers of Microsoft, okay, that they download updates from. And synchronization, this is a report or something to tell you how much synchronization has been done between the WSUS and Microsoft server, how much time, if it is failed or not working. And then we have reports. This is a very important tool. You can run reports from the WSUS to get you how much computers are registered to your WSUS, how much computers are having Windows 10 installed, for example, on it, how much Windows Server operating system are installed, how much successful computers have downloaded updates from the WSUS, how much computers failed to download updates from the WSUS. So these are reports, and they will be run from the Windows internal database. And the last but not least, the options here. From it you can configure a lot of things in WSUS. For example, you can clean the WSUS. So for example, by time you will have a lot of updates you don't need anymore. So from options you can tell him to clean these updates, and you can configure a lot of things. You can configure to add, for example, if you have, for example, Windows 11 added to your environment, you can tell him from the options, tell the WSUS to get Windows 11 updates from the Microsoft website. So there is a lot of things to be done from these options, but anyway, this is a quick peek about what we are doing. So now we have configured all of the things we need. So now after that we need to I will make another virtual machine and join it to the domain. Okay, so this is my thing, but before that we need to configure the group policy. Okay, we have said that there is a group policy that I will configure. Okay, so to tell all of the workstations and all of the servers to get their updates from the WSUS server and not to get it directly from the Microsoft website. So we will go to the default domain policy. Remember this option, tell him right click and edit. So, and then we will open the computer configuration and then policies and then Windows components, administrative templates, and then Windows components. So we'll go to Windows components, not system. This is not correct. So we'll go to Windows components. Okay, and then we will go to Windows update. Here we can see that there is an option to specify intranet update service location. Just wait for a moment here. Here we can see that this is also an option to allow non-administrators to receive update notifications. So this will disable the normal user to get update or Windows update notification. Okay, this is disabled because the user can disallow this update, so or he can close it, so we will disable it completely. Anyway, it's another one for assigned signed updates. This is when you use patch management programs, for example like SolarWinds, that download for example updates for Java and different non-Microsoft products, and they need the WSUS to distribute these updates. So you need WSUS for example to distribute Java updates or to distribute Chrome updates. So this could be done using a third-party program, something called patch management, and this patch management will pass these updates to the WSUS. So these updates should be signed. WSUS should know that these updates are signed with a certificate and they are secure, because some hackers maybe can pass from the patch management or different programs can pass infected updates or something. So these updates should be signed. Okay, so this is one of the things. And to have signed updates, you need to have a certificate also added to all of your users. Okay, so your WSUS will have a certificate and your workstations or server will have a certificate, so they can communicate securely to know these updates are secured or not. Anyway, so we will go and we will configure the intranet. Okay, so here we will open, this is the name of the server, HTTP, then the name of the server, then 2 dots, then the port for the WSUS. So here we will type RACC02, this is the name of the server, and then we need to specify the server. So here this is it, and then apply and OK. So this is the default domain policy. This is only a part of the group policy. We have another group policy for the workstations concerning WSUS, and we have another one for the WSUS concerning the servers. We have discussed this before. So now we will open the group policy objects, and then we will go, we have another group policy called WSUS policy. This will be applied to the workstations. We tell him edit, and then we will open the computer configuration policies, then administrative templates, Windows components, and then Windows updates. You can see that configure automatic updates. Here this option, please concentrate on this one. Here it will auto download and schedule the install. So the WSUS will download the updates to the workstation and it will install the updates automatically, so the user will not have anything to do. So for example, if the user didn't download or didn't check for the updates, the WSUS will automatically download the updates and it will install it, and actually it will restart automatically the workstation if a restart is needed. It will notify the user first a couple of times, so if he didn't comply, it will restart, or it will force a shutdown, or it will force a restart. So anyway, so this is done. This is the force update, or this is the force option. Here we'll specify the intranet, and I'll show you all that there is certain option for the servers. I will show you all this one. So this is also the server, and tell him apply and OK. And now we have this configured. So we need to have here I configure the default domain controllers policy. This is a group policy. I will configure the WSUS group policy for the domain controllers because I actually have only 2 servers, and they are, for my good luck, they are domain controllers. But what if you have servers that are not domain controllers, application servers? We will configure a third group policy. I will show you all now, but here we will configure a group policy. Tell the WSUS to download updates on these 2 domain controllers, but let me so it will download automatically the updates to the servers, but it will let me install the updates manually and restart the servers manually. Okay, so we will see this option. So we will go to policies and then administrative templates, and then we will go to Windows components. Okay, and then we will go to Windows updates. Okay, and then we will configure automatic updates. See this option, he will tell him enable, and then this is a different option that we configure for the servers, different than the workstations. Here it auto download and notify for install, not schedule for install, notify for install. So it will download and it will notify me to install. It will not install automatically. Okay, so this is a good option, so you can control when the time the server or the domain controller will be down and inform the users. So auto download and install, this is an option. We will configure, apply and OK, and then we will specify intranet the same and put the name of the server. Okay, and then if you have a proxy, it will detect the proxy. But what if you don't have a proxy? It will detect. So use a proxy to be used as fallback if detection using system proxy fails. So if there is a proxy, it will fall back to the proxy. Anyway, so now we have this configured for the domain controllers. It will be applied to the domain controllers. We need to create a new group policy and apply it to non-domain controllers servers. So we'll tell it WSUS servers, and then we will configure it. Okay, and then we will link it to the server's organizational units in our Active Directory structure. So now we will go policies and then administrative templates, and then we will go to the Windows components, and then we will go to the Windows update, and with the same we will configure automatic updates, and we will enable auto download and notify for install, apply and OK. And by the way, someone asked me, why don't we let the workstations and servers go and get the updates from the Microsoft directly, and we don't need the WSUS to be installed? Why we need the WSUS? Okay, if we have a situation, for example, that you have 100 workstation and you have, for example, 100 servers, if they all go to the internet at different times or at the same time to get updates, your internet bandwidth will be consumed. Okay, so this is an important thing. Your bandwidth will be consumed. And let's have another situation. For example, let's see that these 100 workstations have Windows 10 installed on it, and these 100 servers have Windows Server 2019 installed on them. So they will go, each 100 workstation or server will download the same updates, so there is a duplicate in the updates. Okay, so we have internet bandwidth consumed and you have duplicate updates downloaded. As for the WSUS, it will correct these two problems. It will only download updates when the users are not in the place, and it will only download the updates once. So this is why we need to have the WSUS in our environment, and actually in a work group, not on a domain only. It is also good to have it in a work group. Anyway, so we'll configure the intranet update services. Now we have it, and we have the server, and then we will link it to the server's organizational unit in our domain. So let's here see, if we go to the armies here, we have for each army an organizational unit for the servers. So if you open command center, here we have servers, so we need to link our group policy. Okay, so we have Windows hardening group policy, link it, then we will link also the WSUS servers group policy, telling okay, and then we'll do this for the organizational unit of servers in the Japanese army. So we'll do this and then link it, okay, and then WSUS server, okay, and then we'll do it for the Russian army. Okay, so we'll do this and we will go there and right click and link this GPO to the Windows servers organizational unit. So now we have our group policies attached, everything is up and running. We need to test. For example, if I go now and check or tell the PAO to check for updates, what it will do? It will go communicate to the WSUS, or what it will do? So now we will open the server or our primary domain controller, and then we will put the password. Okay, I think there is something here. I don't know why I'm logging into the primary domain controller, but let's wait and see, because I don't remember everything anyway. So now we have logged into the primary domain controller. Okay, so now we will make gp update. This is a command /force. What is it? I need, remember that I have configured the default domain controller's group policy and updated it with WSUS server name and some options. So I need this group policy to be applied to both domain controllers so they can communicate with the WSUS server. So I tell him gp update /force. This is a command to force all of the group policies to be applied again. Okay, so we'll do this on both and we'll do it on the PAO. So all of the WSUS group policies to be applied immediately. You can restart them to take, or for the group policy to take effect, but you can make this without restart by issuing this command. So now we will do this. And then we will press enter. I think it's paused, maybe, I guess. Okay, so now we will do this. So here is updating policy, and we need to do this also on the additional domain controller. So it's updating the policy. If a restart is needed, it will tell you. Okay, so it's computer policy successfully and user policy. So this is two sections in the group policy: computer policy and user policy. So now we will log in now and apply this command as well. And then run the same command gp update /force and press enter. And after that we need also to issue the same command on my PAO workstation. So now we have both group policies applied, the default domain group controller group policy, and then we will go to the PAO and issue the same command. So right click and run. Okay, so these are all commands to force or to push the WSUS group policies that we have configured. Okay, so now we are making gp updates. And remember, after doing this, the computers should appear to the WSUS. Okay, they should be registered to the WSUS, and we need to check this. Okay, sometimes this process it is delayed somehow, or it will take a little bit of time, so don't worry, it will take a little bit of time. So now if you go to the WSUS server, and remember, all of the computers will be registered in the unassigned computers. So here, if we go and see failed or needed computers, okay, we don't see any computers. The three are here listed. If you tell him any, also we don't see any computers listed here. Okay, so it will take a little bit of time until these three or these two servers and this workstation to communicate with the WSUS server, and it will be listed here. From there we can distribute them on the different computer groups. Okay, so now we can see that no computers appear as failed or needed, or even as any. It means that even if some computers fail to get updates, I need the failed or the successful computers. So now can help to sync now to communicate with the Microsoft website, but I will not do this now. So here are the different this is like a dashboard saying how much computers are needed or needing updates, how much updates are needed by computers. So this is a little bit of a graph to tell you what is going on. So I'll add a snap-in, and then I will add services. Okay, what I mean by this services here, for the WSUS to work, there is a couple of services that should be running on the computer or on the server. One of them is called WSUS services, and something called Windows Internal Database Service. So if these two services are not running on the server, WSUS will not work. So here I am adding the service console and connect to the services on the WSUS server remotely. Okay, so let me show you all what I mean by this. So I tell him to connect to this computer and then okay, and let me show you all two important services that should be running. So here, these are the services running on the server. Okay, so if you go down, so let me show you all a couple of things. Here there is something called Windows Internal Database. These two are related to the WSUS, so if they are not running, this is a problem. The WSUS will not work. And there is another service, let me show you all down, the WSUS service. If this is not running, this also means that the WSUS server will not be working. So if your initial troubleshoot, if there is a problem with the WSUS, you need to check the services for these two services and these services if they are running or not. So this is why I have added the service console to my custom console. So now we have everything up and running. We need to create a force virtual machine. So we'll take one of the computers in the ally army. So here, for example, I take the command center and then the armor facility. So we'll have a tank. So we will have a computer acting as a tank. So this is the armor facility. This is one of the computers in the ally. Later we will have one of the computers in the Japanese army and one in the Russian army. So this is tank 10. This is the computer that we will create and join it to the domain. So we will just take the name. I need only to take the name as a copy, so I will copy it, and then I will create a fourth virtual machine. So now we will go and tell him to create a new virtual machine. Okay, and tell him next, and then we will put the DVD of the operating system later, and then we will choose the operating system to be Windows 10 64-bit. Okay, you can go up there, 64-bit system. Mostly it is used and it have a lot of benefits. So now tell him next, and then the name of the PC will be called Tank 10. This is it, and then next. Then we will specify a size for the hard disk, and then we will customize our hardware. I need only 1 gigabyte because I don't have a lot of resources, and they have 1 processor. And by the way, I need to close the POW so this workstation can work, because I have only 4 virtual processors. I have 3 of them working and 1 for my host. Now we will put it on the network VMnet 8, okay, and then I will put the DVD of the operating system, which it will be Windows 10 LTSC 2019 version 1709. Anyway, so I will go and add it. By the way, you need all of your Windows 10 to support UEFI system, because this is more secure. No one is using BIOS anymore because it is not secure. Anyway, so we have something here. I need to show you all. What is this? This is advanced. We go to the network card and then click advanced, and then this is the MAC address. Why I need the MAC address? Okay, we have an option in the DHCP telling it not to give IP addresses unless I know the MAC address and I put it in the allow or deny. So if I don't take the MAC address and put it in the DHCP in the allow filter, this workstation will not take an IP address from the DHCP, and it will not join the domain, and it will not get to the internet. So I need to get the MAC address. I tell him to generate a MAC address. So remember this, generate, and you will take this MAC address and add it to the allow filter in the DHCP. So this workstation can take an IP address from the DHCP. This is a very good way to control what computers take IP addresses for you from your DHCP. Anyway, here we will take the MAC address just to make sure the MAC address is correct. I will take it and add it to the allow filter. So we'll go to the DHCP, okay, DHCP, and then go to IP version 4 and then filters, and then put it in the allow filter. Just wait for a couple of seconds, and then right click and then new filter, then add remember the MAC address should be dashes, not dots, okay? So the DHCP will not recognize dots, it will recognize dashes, okay? So now we will put the MAC address and then the name of the PC. Just a moment, guys, just a moment. So let's continue, guys. Here we will put the MAC address, but remember to replace the dots with dashes, and then put the description of the PC or the name, and then close. And then we will see when we power on this virtual machine, it will take an IP address. Before that, we need to restart the services of the DHCP. Sometimes the allow filter is not reflected directly, or the DHCP will not feel this allow filter directly. Anyway, in most times it is already reflected immediately, but sometimes not. So if this is a problem, we can restart the DHCP service just to accelerate the effect of the allow filter. Okay, so now we will see a little bit of it's restarting the service. So anyway, now we can go and first of all I need to close this machine, because as I said before, I can't have 4 machines working together, because I have only 4 processors, 1 for the laptop or the host, and the 3 are for the virtual machines or for the guests. So I need to close this one and open this one. Anyway, we will see after shutting down the machine and see and if this machine will take an IP address. This should take an IP address because it is in the allow filter. So let's see what will happen. So now we are shutting down the machine or the POW. Now it's shutting down. Sorry guys, I think let's put it here. So now we power off this machine, and then we'll power on the tank or the second virtual machine, and then power it on, and then here we will encounter an error. Okay, let me show you all what is this error. So here we can see that it didn't boot from the DVD. Why? Because the operating system that I have put or mounted it in this virtual machine, this doesn't support the UEFI system. So this virtual machine, its BIOS system is UEFI. As for the operating system, it supports only BIOS feature, not UEFI feature. To know the difference between the UEFI and the BIOS feature, please Google it and see it. Anyway, so how we can overcome this problem? By the way, it is recommended to have your operating system support UEFI and your virtual machine or your physical machine support UEFI system. Okay, so how we can overcome this problem? We will shut down the machine. So we'll place it, or what we'll do, we'll tell him shut down this machine. Okay, and then we will change the system of the BIOS of this virtual machine from, we will go to advanced or options and advanced, and then change it to BIOS feature. Okay, and by the way, if we can go a little bit further, so here it is recommended your virtual machine and physical machine to have UEFI system support and to enable secure boot. These are two options very critical to overcome some malware and some viruses. You have these two options enabled in the BIOS, or not it's in the features of the firmware of your machine. Okay, so this is it. We will change, and it said don't change your firmware type if there is a system installed on it. Okay, so now we will open this virtual machine, and then it will accept and it will boot from the DVD. So now we will go regularly, or we will continue our classic installation of Windows 10. It's very normal. We have done this a lot of times. We will just have this hard disk 60 gigabyte. We will make it two partitions, one 50 gigabyte and the other is 10. As we said, it's recommended for Microsoft to have your operating system partition to be more than 150 gigabyte. Here I'm checking if there is any languages that I can install. So because I need to install Japanese language, Windows display language for Japanese, and Windows display language for Russian, but this only has the English language display language for Windows. Okay, so we cannot make it in Russian or make it in Japanese. Okay, so now we will have two types of LTSC. We will configure this one, which is digitally activated, and the other is you need to put the key manually. So now we will tell him next, and then accept the license agreement, and then custom installation, and then we will partition this hard disk, one to be 50 gigabyte, yes, and then apply. Okay, and then we have the second one to be another partition, 11 gigabyte. We need to format it so we can be able to access it, and then choose the second partition to have our operating system installed on it. Then we need to pause the video until the installation is finished, and we go to the normal process of choosing the keyboard layout to create a user to log into the Windows. All of this we have done previously in more than once, or we have done it with the POW. We were configuring the POW Windows. Okay, so now installing the updates, and then we will see this machine if it will take an IP address, it will get, if it will get updates from the WSUS, if it will see the file shares. Okay, all of this. So now we need to restart the machine. Okay, and then we'll begin something called OOBE, out of the box experience. This is an initial setup. Microsoft will ask you a couple of questions to complete the configuration of the Windows, or to complete the configuration of the setup of the Windows. So now we will continue. So it will continue. It will ask about the keyboard layout, the first question to be asked. think we can pause it real quickly here. Okay, so now the first thing it will ask about the basics is to have your first keyboard or your primary keyboard, which will be English. Okay, so we'll pause the video until it comes. Okay, here is the US keyboard, okay, or English keyboard, let's see. And then you can add another layout, but we'll skip it because the Active Directory login script will add the Arabic keyboard layout later. Anyway, so it will have a couple of moments until it works here. Just a moment. So here what it will do, here it has detected, so if you pause here, it has detected an internet connection. So what it's doing, it is getting updates from the internet. So now he has detected an internet connection. That means that the DHCP has distributed IP address for this virtual machine, and it also distributed the router IP address, which will get this machine out to the internet. So now it's making some important setups. This important setup is to get updates. Okay, so this is one. So I think we will pause the video until this step is finished. Okay, so this is an indicator that the DHCP is up and running and working. Okay, so now it is finished. He has checked for updates and he didn't find anything, at least at that moment. And now we will have the regular setup completed, so let's continue here. Okay, we can pause it real quickly here. Okay, network and then account. Okay, we can complete here again. Okay, so we'll pause the video. So now he is asking us to sign in or log into the workstation or log into this machine using a Microsoft account or to use a domain account. Okay, so we will tell him to join the domain. So we'll use an account that had joined the domain. So we'll not log into this machine using my email account. So you can log into the machine using your email account. Okay, but I will not use this one. I will use domain joined instead option. Okay, so now we tell him domain join instead option, because this is what we do. We need to join this workstation to the domain. So now it will begin asking a couple of questions. I think we can pass it also real quickly, not to run as bad as the author. So here it will ask about the account. So here it will make an account that will log into the machine. Okay, so here we will use our second administrator account, which is Keraof1. Okay, this is the account that we will log in with it to the machine locally. After that we will log into this machine using my domain admin account. Anyway, so this is my local administrator account. We'll put a password. Okay, and then next, and that's it. Then it will begin confirm the password, and then it will ask 3 secret questions to that you provide their answer. So the Windows can ask you these questions and you provide the answer that you have typed earlier to give you your password. So this is like secret questions to give you your Windows password. Okay, so now we have configured it, and then we will disable synchronizing between the workstation and external devices like the mobile or something. These are all options that need to be closed in a production environment, not to think with external devices because it's not secure, and to close all of the privacy setting for the Windows concerning the location, find my device, location, and tailored experience. All of these are against security in a production environment, so you need to close them all. Okay, these are all related to taking data outside your company some are for revealing your location or reveals your location, and some gets important data and give it to Microsoft anyway. So we close all of this setting and accept this should be done by default. If you're having a production environment, you need to close all of this privacy setting, and this can be done using a group policy anyway. So now we can see that he is connected to the domain, to the network. Okay, he didn't join the domain. Okay, so remember, we need to install VMware tools. This is a standard thing to do when you are working with the VMware Workstation Pro environment. Okay, so now we install the VMware tools. Here we can see we have access to the internet. Now we will go and type cmd, run cmd. Why I'm doing this? To show you all that this machine got an IP address. So we'll type ifconfig/all, and then we will get, let's see here, we will get the IP address. So here we can see that we have got default gateway, our DHCP server, so it's communicating with the DHCP server, and we have DNS servers. Okay, and we have the router, gateway router, and this is the IP address of the machine 1.20. This is the default gateway, the router that will get us to the internet, the DHCP, which is our additional domain controller, and WSUS server and file server, and these are the two domain controllers. So now we are ready to join this machine to the domain, but first we need to change the name of the machine to be tank 10. Okay, so let's do this. First of all, we need to install the VMware tools to facilitate working or communication between my laptop and this virtual machine. So now we will go and install VMware tools, and later we will change the name of the machine. So and we need to check later if this can communicate with the WSUS server. So it has successfully communicated with the DHCP, and we will see also if we can see the shared folders. Okay, but first we need to install VMware tools. Yes, install VMware tools, and then we need to change the name of the PC. Let's see if properties here, let's see the name of this PC currently. Here we can see that the name of the PC, it's desktop so and so. I need to change this name to be tank 10. Okay, so we will, after installing the VMware tools, we will change the setting and change the computer name. Okay, so then change, and then we need to change the name to be tank 10. Okay, but first we are installing the VMware tools. Tank 10. Okay, installing the VMware tools. Okay, it will take a little bit of time. Now we will tell him next and then complete setup to install all of the VMware tools, and then it should ask for a restart, but we will not restart it now. We will change the name of the PC and then restart the machine. It will take a little bit of time. We can pause it real quickly. Okay, so now the screen flickers because it is installing display driver to correct the display on my virtual machine. Anyway, so it is continuing the setup. Okay, and it should ask for a restart, so it will take a little bit of time. Okay, so let's wait and see. So now we tell him finish, and then it will ask for a restart. I tell him no, and then change the name of the PC, tank 10. And remember, we have tank 10 already created in our our Active Directory, so it will be put automatically in the organizational entity that we have created the computer object earlier. Okay, so this is called pre-staging. Okay, so now we'll restart, and now we'll pause the video. Here there's an error appeared because I have not a large RAM here on this machine, so we'll restart. This is a problem concerning the RAM. Okay, I will increase the RAM later, but now we can make Control Alt Delete, and then this is the local administrator. We will put the password, and then we need to join this machine to the domain. Okay, and then we will see the different group policies applied. We will see the welcome screen, we will see the background, we will see the Active Directory login script, we will see a lot of things. So now this is the network. So now we need to go and join this machine to the domain. So this is basically our test machine to know if everything is working or not. The DHCP, the file server, the WSUS, the domain, and the Active Directory. So now we will right click properties and then join this machine to the domain. Okay, change setting, and then tell him to change, and then domain. Then we can type the domain red alert and then press enter. Then we should provide a password and the username that is authorized to join workstations to the domain, and this of course should be the domain admin or anyone that have this privilege. Okay, so now we will tell him Rauf and then OK, and then it will take a couple of seconds until it's welcome to red alert to domain, and then OK, and then need to restart, and then we can see the different restart. Now we'll see the different group policies, and we will see the shared folders, we will see the Active Directory login script, all that we have been doing the couple of videos before. So now we will go, and this is the welcome screen or the warning screen, and then we will join, or I will go or put my domain admin account and login on it on this machine. We need to see the background. Remember that I have my username in the ally group, so I need to see the ally background applied, and I need to see my Active Directory home folder and my department department folder. We will pause the video. Okay, so now this is our registry keys for the Active Directory login script. This is the PC, and this is the name of the PC. We have discussed the Active Directory login script before, so the scripts are applied. The time need to be reflected, so we can make another restart, so the other Active Directory login scripts to be applied. So now we will open the machine. Here you can see that I can see my Active Directory home folder, the global share folder, and the quota on each one of them. So now we make a restart to complete the implementation of the Active Directory login script. So now again, if we log in back and tell him OK, we will see that the time is changed to reflect Cairo time zone. So now Rauf, and then put it here. Okay, and then let's see here. So we can pause it real quickly here actually. So now we can see that the time is reflected correctly. This is by time of Cairo, and English and Arabic keyboard layout should be here also, and Cortana is disappeared. So now we need to go and tell him to check for updates, and we will see it if we will check updates from the WSUS or it will get it from outside. By the way, it will get updates from outside, not from the WSUS. Why? Because still we didn't initialize, or we didn't tell the WSUS to check for updates on Microsoft website. So when this machine communicated with the WSUS and didn't find any updates, it will communicate directly with Microsoft website. So this is the second way. Here we'll tell him to check for updates. It will get updates, okay, but not from the WSUS, because still the WSUS, we didn't configure it, or we didn't initialize a connection between the WSUS and the Microsoft website and get updates from it. Anyway, we will see a couple of updates, okay, that it was returned. Okay, so here is another way. If you need to check and see, for example, if there is a problem with some updates on any machine, you can check first of all you can check the event log for some information. I will show you how we can do this. Anyway, here we view the configured update policies. Here we can see that he is saying that this is by the administrator, intranet is by administrator, group policy, so this is through the domain. All of these are done through the domain. So if he is telling you intranet source administrator type group policy, that means that you have a WSUS group policy in effect in the domain and it is working. Okay, so you have your group policy of WSUS applied on this machine. So let's continue and see how we can check the event log and check what happened. Here you can see that all of these are telling you that your group policy or the update policy are defined from your Active Directory or from your domain. Okay, anyway, he's checking for updates. It will take a little bit of time, so we can pause this real quickly. So now he is getting some updates, and these updates are not from the WSUS, I can assure you. So if we go, what I will show you all, we will go and open administrative tools, and then we go and check the logs, okay, for the Windows update on this machine. So we will go administrative tools, then we can go a little bit further. We open the event log, here we go, and then we can check the logs for the event log on the machine. Okay, so we open the event log and then we can go further here, event log, here it is. We open application, then Microsoft, okay, and then go to the Windows, okay, and then we'll go to something called Windows Update. Actually the log doesn't say that the updates are received from the WSUS or from the internet, but this is a good way to check if there is any errors concerning one of the updates. You can get it from Windows Update Client Operational. Here you can see all the logs concerning the updates on this workstation is specific. So here we can see that, for example, this says an update was downloaded. Okay, so and you can see the details of the error or the log. Sorry, just a moment, we can pause it real quickly here. So if, for example, here is an update was downloaded, the time, okay, success, the machine, and the operation. So we don't have any clue if it's got from the WSUS or internet, but I am sure because the WSUS wasn't initialized and it didn't communicate with the Microsoft website, so we know that it is not getting its update from the WSUS. Anyway, so we will close the event log, we will close the machine. First of all, we need to check a couple of things. Actually, just give me here an option. If we click on advanced options, we will see different options for the Windows update, and let me stress on a couple of things here. So if you go to advanced options, and then there is a couple of things also configured using the group policy. So if we go there, here, let's see here one of the things, advanced options, you here get updates for other Microsoft products. This is configured through the group policy, so you have this option enabled, and automatically download updates, this is closed. Okay, and show a notification when your PC requires a restart, this is off. Okay, so the user will not see a notification if the updates needs a restart, or you need a restart for the machine. And this is another option for pause updates. This is an option in Windows 10. You can pause the updates of Windows 10 to be downloaded, or you can pause updates not to be got by your machine. So this is also off. Okay, I will not make the user be able to pause updates, so we have closed these options. And then we need to see also something called delivery optimization. This is also another thing I need to let you all have a look on it. So there's something called delivery options. This is another option we need to see it in specific. First of all, it says that it can download updates from neighbor computers. So if he didn't succeed in getting updates from the internet or getting updates from the WSUS, he will get updates from a neighbor PC that have these updates, another workstation. So I need this option to be enabled and to only get PC from my local network. We will choose this option. So I am telling him to get only updates from my network, not from the internet. Okay, so this is another option, and this also can also be configured using the group policy. Okay, so this also should be configured using the group policy. So now we need to shut down the machine. Okay, and this is all for the video. So we will close all of this and we will shut down the machine using the shutdown button. And this concludes for our video. Hope this video is informative to you all, and I'd like to thank you all for viewing. Until the upcoming video, thank you so much.